1. An AOS switch implements tunneled node. Which benefit does the PoP enhanced security key provide? A. It validates the signature for firmware pushed to the switch dynamically. B. It encrypts traffic sent and received by tunneled node endpoints. C. It authenticates control traffic between the switch and its mobility controller. D. It provides an extra layer of authentication for endpoints on tunneled node ports. Answer: C. 2. OSPF Area 1 has 2 ABRs. One ABR is configured with this range for Area 1, 10.10.0.0/16. The other ABR is not configured with a range for Area 1. Which type of issue occurs due to this mismatch? A. The ABRs create a discontinuous area and disrupt intra-area routing between devices within Area 1. B. The ABR core would send Area 1 traffic destined to the other switch through an access switch. C. The ABRs lose adjacency entirely and cannot route traffic between each other at all. D. The ABRs lose adjacency in Area 1 and must route all traffic to each other through Area 0. Answer: A. 3. A network administrator configures connection rate filtering on interface 1 with the throttle action. Device 1 crosses the threshold and triggers the action. What does the switch do? A. It temporarily drops all IP traffic from device 1 only. B. It temporarily drops all IP traffic on interface 1. C. It drops all IP traffic from device 1 until the host is manually unblocked. D. It drops all IP traffic on interface 1 until the interface is manually unblocked. Answer: A. 4. What must an OSPF router do to ensure non-stop routing should a standby member take over as commander when the original VSF commander fails? A. It must run the shortest path first algorithm. B. It must participate in a new election for the designated router. C. It must initiate a graceful restart. D. It must re-establish adjacency with its designated router. Answer: C. 5. Two AOS switches are directly interconnected. The network administrator wants to prevent broadcast storms and other Layer 2 issues that could occur if there is physical damage to a cable. Which technology should the administrator implement on the connected switch interfaces? A. MAC lockdown. B. Bidirectional forwarding detection (BFD). C. Spanning tree root guard. D. Unidirectional link detection (UDLD). Answer: D. 6. Which benefit is provided by MD5 authentication for BGP? A. It validates that BGP messages arrive from an authorized device. B. It verifies that received BGP routes have valid next hop IP addresses. C. It enables users to authenticate to a server across BGP as boundaries. D. It protects BGP routing information from eavesdroppers. Answer: A. 7. An AOS switch runs IGMP on a VLAN. What is a requirement for the switch to be a potential IGMP querier on that VLAN? A. The switch must run PIM-SM or PIM-DM on that VLAN. B. The switch must have an IP address on that VLAN. C. The switch must have IGMP fast leave disabled globally. D. The switch must have at least one IGMP group configured on it manually. Answer B. 8. Network administrators need to track when traffic matches deny entry in an ACL applied to a port. They want the alert to be sent to a syslog server that is already set up to send logs. What should administrators do to enable alerts? A. Specify the log option for the ACL entry, and enable ACL debugging. B. Set the debug destination to session, and enable ACL debugging. C. Enable ACL debugging, and enable SNMP port security traps. D. Specify the log option for the ACL entry, and enable SNMP port security traps. Answer D. 9. Which switches can be deployed in a mesh topology for backplane stacking? A. Aruba 2920 switches. B. Aruba 2930F switches. C. Aruba 2930M switches. D. Aruba 3810 switches. Answer D. 10. A network administrator needs to create a QoS policy on an AOS switch. What is one component that the administrator must create before the policy? A. An extended IPv4 ACL. B. A traffic behavior. C. An extended MAC ACL. D. A traffic class. Answer D.